So hey besties, as y'all know, I'm not much of a baker, but I kind of like this fun idea of taking these plain, boring box cakes and trying to reinvent them into something fun with a few ingredients. So now today we're going to go ahead and make us a Biscoff cookie cake from a regular box cake mix that we have. So we're going to go ahead and start making our cake, and we're going to use per box instructions, and we're going to go ahead and start adding in our cake mix. After that, I went on ahead and added in some milk. You can use water or you can use oil per box instructions, but I feel like the cake comes out more moist and it comes out softer when you use milk. And I'm going to go ahead and crack my eggs. Now while I'm cracking my eggs, I also have my butter softening up so that I can go ahead and melt it. And for some reason, whenever I go and I decide I'm going to make a cake, I never take my butter out in enough time so it can soften up to room temperature. So that's why I'm always adding in my butter last when it is time for me to go ahead and do a cake. So while I'm going ahead getting my cake mix and everything incorporated, I'm going to go ahead and start preheating my oven on 350 degrees. Now that my oven is preheating, we're going to go ahead and mix in that butter. And this is how our cake is looking so far. Everything is looking good. Now, if you are a excellent baker and you can go ahead and make your cake batter from scratch, which I have done it a couple of times, but I have not done it enough times to feel comfortable with it. Go ahead and make yours from scratch, but I'm going to go ahead and use mine that I got at the supermarket, and I got it for $2 for $4. So I paid $2 for this cake mix, and we have the ingredients that we already have in the house. So if you have kids that are home from spring break, this is absolutely something fun that you can do to keep them entertained, and it also makes a very delicious snack as well. So we're going to go ahead and grease down our cake pan. And I like to use these disposable cake pans because it just makes the cleanup process for me a whole lot easier. I'm going to put in about half of my cake mix, and then we're going to go ahead and get those Biscoff cookies, and we're going to put it in a bag, and we're just going to go ahead and crunch it up. After we get it crunched up, you're going to go ahead and take it out of your bag, and you're going to start layering it in between your cake. And my goal is to make sure I can get the whole entire cake covered. So you're going to make sure that you get it in the top, the bottom, the corners, the sides. Make sure you get that whole entire cake first half layered covered with those cookies. Because after we get it covered with those cookies, we're going to go ahead and add our second layer of our cake mix right on top of there. Now we're going to go ahead and use some cream cheese frosting that we're going to frost the top of our cake with once our cake comes out the oven, because I feel like it would be the perfect frosting to go with this flavor profile for the cake. And my kids were super excited. They was in the kitchen with me every step of the way. They was just excited about this cake, and I kind of was excited as well. So now it's time to go ahead and pour our top layer on. And when you're pouring your top layer on, you want to make sure that you're covering your cookie completely. You don't want your cookie to burn inside of the oven. You don't want it to get dry out. You don't want anything to go wrong with the cookie. So we're going to make sure that we take our cake batter and we cover the cookie part completely, and you want to make sure that it stays in between. You don't want it to come up out on the side. You don't want it to pop out nowhere. And then after we get that completely covered, you're going to go ahead and stick it in the oven, and you're going to bake it per box instructions. Once it was done, it was finally time for the fun part, and we put our frosting on there. I also took some cookie and crumbled it up. I put some gold dust on there, and I also added another cookie in there, and it was time to go ahead and give it a taste test. And when I tell you, this cookie was so delicious. If you have not tried this, I highly recommend you go ahead, grab them kids, even grab your husband, your boyfriend, your boo thing, whatever it is. Make it a fun date night and go ahead and make you a Biscoff cookie cake.